paper where gets now in front page say Sierra Leone is a symbol of African democratic values. It quotes the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Youth are the leaders of the present, not the future. It quotes the First Lady, Dr. Fatima Bio, where they talk to people in Namibia. ECSL to conduct village heads election for Western area. And the story then I know gets now the AYV newspaper. The next speak now the Global Times newspaper. Turn down the rhetorics. Let quiet democracy prevail. President Bio to leave for New York September 12. Chief Minister visits Correctional Center. Beijing Global Safety Technology to invest in Sierra Leone. The stories that will get at the Global Times newspaper. Next speak now Kailondo newspaper. We say in prison during Judicial Week. 1-year baby poisons with caustic soda. In tears, LJ writes a letter from prison. And then some of the stories that we'll get now the Kailondo newspaper. The next speak now the Awareness Times newspaper we say His Excellency President Mada Bio directs a fresh constitutional review 2 years after HEJS Momo's 1991 constitution. Clarification over Chief of Staff. Anti-corruption engages banking sector to help combat corruption. Some of the stories that we'll get now the Awareness Times newspaper. We next speak at the Independent Observer newspaper. We say why ACC engages banking sector. Kush fast-running plague of addiction. That's some of the stories that we'll get now the Independent Observer newspaper. We next speak at the Standard Times newspaper. We say fraudulent activities. NGOs registration suspended. Conspiracy to commit murder, 40 years jail term. Some of the stories that we'll get now the Standard Times newspaper. We next speak at the exclusive newspaper. US visa ban, UK, EU next. US insists on democracy. Government defines BO wins. Some of the stories that we'll get on the exclusive newspaper. The next speaker at the Storm, the New Storm newspaper, is SLP wants both canoe owners. As President Bio appoints Honorable Alusain Kane as CIO, native of Tunkia Chiefdom celebrates. Sludge pays courtesy call on President Bio. Government should consider the construction of Kenema Zimi Road network. Some of the stories that we'll get now the New Storm newspaper. We next speak now the Awoko newspaper. Over 300 acres of land allegedly encroached upon at Takogama Chimpanzee Sanctuary. Commercial bike riders go slow in Makeni. Water and sanitation crucial to achieving President Bio's Big Five agenda, says Water Resources Minister. Some of the stories that we'll get now the Awoko newspaper. And we next speak when the last one we go be Concord Time newspaper say neglect over 15 healthcare workers suspended. Aisha Johansson invited to London Fashion Week. Local commercial bank launches e-banking baskets. Hospital on wheels. China donates $20,000 to Ministry of Health. Well, that's not some of the newspapers that will get in the studio and the headlines that we then newspapers they carry. Well, also, I don't be joined in the studio by Melvin Sijan Mansai. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning to Fambule.
Yeah. So, Abdullah, you don't hear some of the headlines that they make, the stories that they make headlines now in newspaper. And for the first one, we're in the AYV newspaper, we see the story here is Sierra Leone is a symbol of African democratic values, where they quote the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. So the United Nations Secretary General, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, has extolled Sierra Leone as Africa's example of democratic values. He said, Sierra Leone is a very important and reliable partner of the United Nations, very committed to multilateralism, and a symbol in the African continent of not only democratic values but also strong commitment to common objectives, peace and security, sustainable development, climate action, and human rights. That's not just an excerpt of the story. We see them accolade they come up from the United Nations Secretary General at a point where the United States government they issue out a visa policy based on what they allege say people away they try to undermine democratic values of the country. They put a visa restriction on them.
Thank you so very much, Monrovia, on this. First of all, let me understand when you talk of the United Nations Secretary General, now an embodiment of global unity, peace, and quietness in job is not political.
Okay.
Whether I mess up or not, the question is, he always get a stance we in the promote global peace. You understand? Support various governmentism across the world for ensure say we uphold we democratic credentials. As you rightly quote them, back home I can say this gets divided opinion. It depends on who you talk to. Or they will tell you say yes, Salon, a country we symbolize peace, we uphold the democratic tenets, we don't enjoy, which I can say, the religious tolerance for so many years. We forge ahead for ensure say we build on the values and ethos. But that said, over the last couple of years, we don't see some challenging aspects. I take you back to the European Union even prior to the elections, when they come out with their report, the name specific institutions, they find them challenging for uphold the democratic values. One are the judiciary, the civilian police, the electoral commission, you name it. But again, we get as head of state somebody now the chair of the sit-in. You know what I mean? A coordinative role for ensure say we Africans portray a singular agenda, both regional and global, for ensure say we maintain the quietness and peace in various countries. Of recent, before the election, Sierra Leone, we win a seat in the non-permanent category of the United Nations. Waiting on they tell you that we co-locate with effort with the Big Five. You understand? We are not yet on the Big Five, but we co-locate with effort with the Big Five for ensure say any global consideration, Salon gets a say into them. But when you come back home, the question many people will ask, is it reflective in the national psyche of the people?
They are able for help.
Is there in the body politics? We see a lot of political polarization. We see how much this united the nation there. We don't go straight off from them reality and do. You understand? It is not our making. It is not our liking rather. But the question is, we give an outward impression as if Sierra Leone is a bed of roses, but when you come back home, you see a lot of challenges. How we for manage with peace, how we for move from a period of hate, for bring the country, bring people, bring them divided opinions and together, how we for able to garner the kind of support intra party level, both out and in, for ensure that we as a country we live peacefully and we coexist. You understand? So as I tell you, it depends on who that you talk to.
Right.
But the United Nations Secretary General is an embodiment of peace, now an embodiment of a global unity. So you don't expect anything for make it calm. It just can't be so flippant. For say Salon not get peace, no. Irrespective. You mentioned the American decision, the American government, State Department, for issue out, a travel ban. If you listen to the press conference held by the communication person at the American embassy, it make it very clear. This whole thing is not targeting the people of this country, but just a handful of the one that we feel say they are the devil in the formula. You understand? I don't feel say we need for taken from now the particular from the general to the particular. You understand? Let me not make, otherwise we get what we call a misplaced aggression. You know what I can say, because I don't stifle few people, then you can situate it now to the entire country. Otherwise, it fall short of a misplaced aggression. The people are where they. But are happy before you come to my colleague Melvin. You see what is so Fofana, right? It's like we turn down the tones of rhetorics.
Yeah.
Let we allow quiet diplomacy, and even go further for blame the social media handlers, the government officials in the right top. It don't mean a word. It said they are not doing good to the current government. You understand? Because it's like if you operate with, if you handle communication, there are things you need for, what's it like he said, talk, think quickly and talk slowly. The man, we don't even affect some people here. Make no mistake about it. He mentioned that it's not coming from me. This is a government that somebody when an SLPP member will come out and say, turn down the rhetorics. This is too much on the government official they handle the communication aspects. You're getting it wrong. When they get it wrong, allow quiet diplomacy. The president all by himself, it gets way how he will able to engage. You understand, at diplomatic level for ensure say this thing not even come to the attention of the general public. But as we talk now, this visa ban is being misinterpreted. Other people enjoy visa is the entire country. As I say, there are devils in the formula. Allow the presidency for make a hand on this thing rather than jumping from one television or radio station to another. Just they say things away, not tell well, where they exacerbate even the existing problem. For me, it's very much challenging.
All right, Melvin, as I introduce inside, looking at this commendation from the United Nations Secretary General, the things that we highlight that Salon very much committed to multilateralism and also a symbol in the African continent, not only for democratic value but also strong commitments to the common objectives of peace, security, sustainable development, climate change action, and human rights. We'll look at this, then things their way in name. How come back at the ground when you're setting how applicable some of them things that day? Because just don't see election on pass, we see still they get here and there back and forth on the opposition and also with the ruling governments. How realistic we build some of them things? How committed as a contributor?
I first one for on whose occasion you make that statement? Probably event program on an interview.
Well, just
maybe I go give me insights as to when exactly this.
I think now the permanent representative to the United Nations we go hand over credentials.
So now, of course, now that's you go for expect. That's not diplomatic principles. You expect for where the UNSG don't receive them. You therefore use fine words. However, that is for what is being recorded. We don't know waiting then talk behind the curtains. But for me, for the fact that the media is only capturing that aspect, it shows that there is a deficit in facts. It's either that person the way they talk not well briefed, or even if he is well briefed, he's just using diplomatic language. Of course, we don't make strides in with democratization, but all those strides with waiting the happen now is fastly eroding. So for that you can begin making commendation and they good because it's not a diplomat they talk to diplomats. We don't know them talk behind the scene. But with regards to the situation at Salon, media expect any diplomat now where they talk to government officials or anybody in a salon, if you face the bull by the horn. If you call things by their real names, this kind of diplomacy not go for me, not productive because it want to give the government some respite. That if you hear this man they talk so, that means we are okay, we are home and dry, and that is not the case. Yes, we not see an escalation of deteriorating bilateral ties. What do I mean? The relationship between Salon and America right now, it's not reverse the reverse. All right, not the first time this way banned the day in the first inning of this government. Some officials of the foreign affairs were under ban. Some limited officials were under ban, and this is coming for the second time. The dangers about this we don't know the people there. 9-1. So you might be facing our government number, but what if opposition? What if civil society? Because if you look at the caveats, people that they use when they say they undermine democracy, if far reaching. If you really make threats, intimidate. So we don't know that now one. Then for me, based on that unknown aspect of it, I was part of that press conference for American, the DOD, Department of State, tell we say this ban are not targeting the people of Sierra Leone, but they are targeting individuals. Firstly, I beg for differ with them. All right? I beg for differ because the people that you ban, although we don't know them, are Salon people there. That's now one.
And even affects family members.
Hold on, and the family members, there are Salon people there. So how can you take an action against Sierra Leone that does not affect Sierra Leone? That does not affect Sierra Leone, directly or indirectly. That is one side. Another aspect of it, some of them we believe say now office holders. And I want to say thanks to AYV for debunking the misleading information where Alpha Can peddle this morning. We talk about this thing I not affect government officials. We were on the press conference. Then get waivers. But that not mean to say if you're not government officials, you cannot be targeted. So it's clear that there are exclusions, there are exceptions, there are exemptions. So also because you're not government officials, you cannot be. So that was a downplaying of the situation. But it speaks to the fact that it seems as if government not speak one language on this. Last week we dare praise Jamiru for being very astute on the issue, talk and very professionally mature one. But when you hear Alpha Can this Monday, what did they talk? It's like you see a mismatch. We mean for one revelation will come out where the presenter they ask her whether if Madabio and Samuel they talk, they say no. Almost months of election done. We get this kind of stalemate. Then people and the thing not begin to talk it. Monrovian people are watching. Remember how long we don't talk? Say there is a need for face-to-face dialogue. There is a need. People the same Alpha Can talk and they talk. There is mediation and if two people away, now they matter more. Although if you say an escroma more valuable in this conversation, where people are not put in because he's pulling the strings behind the scene. People are not going to know that, or people are not see that. You cannot talk to Samoa and not talk to an escroma, because for me, I don't want to use any other word. So generally, I read the article of Soyi Fofana, it makes a lot of sense that people learn for tone down. You cannot pick a fight against the West and win it. Look from the Gaddafi. Look all the one who don't be headline radical leaders in Africa, including in some parts in Europe. You will win the West. Let's talk about Salona donor dependent country. So for me, I think if that recommendation they can, should say yeah, we get still good things that we can point at, but not enough for make we fool ourselves. We not get elephants in the room. We can make all them places then go like we breeze the curve something go. Because look the thing that they highlight. Call them for me one by one, but let's just give situational analysis. First one is say peace
and security, sustainable development, climate.
Peace and security. We are enjoying relative peace thanks to the security forces for at least the professionalism so far. But the absence of Kuskas no really necessarily mean peace. Salon Bokuman, they smile, they make fine face, but then disgruntled. People are wounded. Some people are hurt. So not because someone they wear fine clothes and smile, mean to say a peaceful. And the kind of peaceful get in a salon is precarious because security hinges on political stability. If you don't have political stability, security can be a threat. The other one is saying waiting.
Sustainable development, climate action, and human rights.
Well, human rights will get Boku human rights abuses then this country will not address it and long enough way for talker. Pademba Road incidents now one. We don't get several other incidents them way they not be August 10 now another one. Those are serious human rights issues. So if we want to talk about human rights, then they will not for ignore them under the carpet. Yes, people and they enjoy relative human rights. When it comes to climate change action, we know say the president is East Africa now and they go attend this summit. But the thing that we will see with we own environmental protection laws, then they lack political willingness. They don't encroach on the green belts. People in the Bill Naguma, and then people are not so ordinary people. These are either financially exposed persons or politically exposed persons. Other for go broke their house then they. For let the poor man and say afraid where they go broke stone day and all day. So there is a lack in political willingness. Now Salo we see then they go ahead with Black Johnson project. The environmental impact assessment survey reports not come it. Who does that? And you say you are protecting the environment. Perhaps that UN man they not get the information and it. Now Salo we see the timber trade again monopoly. One great man in the controller, causing massive deforestation across the country. Now, so we see parks there, almost animal and they disappear. Like one carry, Otamba Kalini. So if we get all the issues, then they find out leader and they go talk and they beg for basket fund for climate change. Fine, But we self with domestic actions them as a nation in terms of policy and political willingness, and above all implementation, we get problem with them. So yes, we might try, but events like the mudslide and then they flooding every day and then incident and they, we get a lot for do when it comes to protecting the environment and fighting climate change.
Yeah, I will just welcome in the studio Halaji Saidu, who will just join United States. Good morning and welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. Over here.
All right. Let's just look at the exclusive newspaper and also the Global Times newspaper. Global Times is a article where say tone down the rhetoric, let quiet diplomacy prevail. I will just read a small part. Say some people in the government should be stopped from making any further public comments on this matter. Let us tone down the rhetoric and allow the president to handle it. He is the best person to handle such matters. It has to be said that at the end of the day, the Sierra Leone government stands to lose in a big way if they pick up an open fight to the U.S. government. If you look at the exclusive newspaper, it says U.S. visa ban, UK, EU next. I bring in Alaji Saidu. We don't see the US don't take this time for put a restriction on some officials that were unknown at the moment. Here, exclusively predict say the UK could be next and also followed by the EU. We in a way they drive in that direction.
First of all, I want to tell you plenty thank you. But before ever we get for address the issue as well, we get for look at we nation Sierra Leone. Unless we get good rapport between the political parties, especially the two major political parties, the SLPP as well as the APC, when are the main opposition, for far too long, if then two political parties only they see eye to eye, definitely would find them very difficult to follow forge ahead. We for concern about we self as Sierra Leoneans, yes, because we don't discover for see if we not get peace, okay, the opposition go always defensive for see how best they go put the government down, you understand? Just because we not get good cordial relationship. How? You understand? Now look, during the days of President Kaba, we ready for appoint Professor Joko Smart as the ECC boss. Okay, the opposition, the APC by then began some issues with Joko Smart, where they inform the development sector in the United Kingdom because of A, B, and C. They're not going to let this man, and they say, okay, this man, therefore put aside or put another one. But President Kababi refused. He said, power Joko Smart for take that position there. And they continue, and they want for withhold them fund. We too for realize is that even though we don't get independence, but yet still, you understand, we still able pardon people in the for me their history. We now do not live in countries. We now then people in the West that they give for support we. And that is why if we get any issue, right? Not to everybody for just rub much day. Then get the appropriate person, and that is the president himself. We, I believe, say the for address that issue because we just left and lose. So you understand it? Everybody they put more to it escalates the situation to a point that they would take certain action. We don't the apple so now because everybody they say anything we want for say. You understand? But the president, I believe, say incapable for handle some of the situation as well. And indeed, as we see so now, yes, other people they prefer we says we now are the best country or who can number third and so on and so forth. We're very peaceful. Now we need to as Sierra Leone, and you understand, because just like how my brother be here so just now, Melvin, you can see somebody well dressed, you understand. But you watch and good one, you're not happy. Because they get challenges for even for feed in family members them. If they get challenges for they move from one point to another, you understand. They look how the prices don't escalated, following way don't increase the fuel price, the pump price. As if as government not in control. Everybody they do what you want for do. Would they so feel for people living at the far eastern, say as far as Waterloo, you know how many amounts of money they pay, say then they can have free tongue, you understand, inside town. Some man would not spend close to then 60, 50 to 60, and they get for return back now the same thing back. So I believe see these are some of the issues people in the suffered, they getting problem then they, you understand. We are facing government for try for look into those issues, yes. By and large, yes, you could live very peaceful. But as long as then two main political parties, come together. You don't polarize the entire situation. In fact, if you yourself they talk anything right, you understand, the other person go misinterpret you. You understand? Say no,
Right.
they in support of we. These are some of the issues where we get internally. You understand? But if you look at the outlook, you feel say yes, we're very peaceful. Thing they go on 551 because we not like other countries. Then we small on Tiapo. People don't go to the streets. You understand? Demonstrate and so on and so forth. So
Right.
these are the issues. But internally we get some problem. We try for say or for try for resolve this issue. It's very important. You understand?
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Before I move further to another story now, awareness time, start being shortly, Abraham. In any way, things say we head to this direction, the prediction we exclusively make after US, we soon expect UK and also the EU.
Well, honestly speaking, I'm not going to make any conjecture because there was a press conference held by the American embassy, and colleague journalists were there. And I'm sure, correct me if I'm wrong, that the communication person did mention, say, more to come.
More to be included in the list if they find everything.
You understand? A tiny nation like Sierra Leone with a face-then kind challenger, you understand? While we get some challenges in the diplomatic front, we get a price hike in business commodities, fuel price. No, that is not to be the case. You get EDSA, they go up. How we can able to reconcile and challenges there? How will they able to reconcile? No, we take an out. It's not a government tool. It's a collective impact where this thing get for be so challenging to the ordinary person of this country, Monrovia. I always foresee the country going down this drain. Just like when I say very, very, senior colleague. I say, put down, turn down the rhetorics. Let me allow that closet diplomacy for take place. But we say for big, really big. Otherwise, when that impact fall, now me and you too, na they fall. So when they do good stuff, get mine for do you good again. Yeah. So I dare say, if until we see what the EU they come with again, they call them people here, then they want to call extricably linked diplomatic ties. When America do something, trust me, you see the cousin yanda, Britain, they say they follow. They look at what Ukraine, what America said, no, they all man they go, no questioning. Now they work from a global front. Then they don't communicate. It just means that America they don't fire the shot for shot. I will not be surprised if UK and by extension the European Union they have come with additional restrictions. All the one they meant for the people of this country. I'm going to say a greater chunk, but trust me, that impact of what you see, not to be a neutral. Now we don't even know the category of visas, because you get business visa, you get tourist visa, you get a lot of other category of visa. They just put you in a blank situation. We don't even know those that are involved, as we colleagues say. We don't even know. So everybody will have a officers hotel tomorrow. See what's happened. We don't let people are in the work. See what's happened with the minister. I don't say that that's the situation. No. See what happened with the Minister of Health. You understand? He was the very one that tweeted on his page. Now they don't come back the tweets and say, not to say. Can you imagine? I see the back and forth with my colleague, other people they try to fine tune up. But he was the very one that tweeted on his page. He said he faces embarrassment. How more can we accept that particular reality? Then other people they try for balance and say no, not also the passing that luggage. Now luggage. I don't want to I go before. It's no luggage. There's no luggage.
Just to add to it, this is the problem we face. And I want to beg the government, particularly the president, we will be realistic and we will be humble in the situation. Yeah, we are sovereign, but we are not independent economically. So, I mean, if you get a situation where people don't want to accept the problem, say it exists, you cannot go out of it. And like I say, this problem, now the ordinary Salomon is suffer more.
Yes.
So when America they talk say no, it's not for the because I mean look for example the MCC 450 million now it's been delayed. Then sector the way they go through. Other than for the benefits. So nobody know the win in the correct situation, but the government also for be realistic enough and accept the fault. You asked the question whether EU and UK, London and Brussels will follow suit. It will only happen that way if the government continue to be arrogant and not make moves for change the situation. If at waiting not happen so, people learn. Now some man not be face embarrassment, they still make us not to embarrassment. If people don't face the reality and not say this, nobody know the win, and we address the issues, we might see more sanctions coming. So the answer there is let governments be humble and calm down the high horse and ready for mediate and negotiate on all sides. Because the thing, the dark spot is nobody don't know if he named it. And the one that already don't know, according to the same conference, if you are holding a visa, an American visa, they don't notify you. So already with the associate some man they know. But you the danger sign now, you don't know if you name it on the list, or you go apply. So someone now say want to go apply, they go afraid. Because look at the caveat so for all the one that will undermine election. So we're not the threshold. Now the America back, I think say that inadmissibility policy they need some clarity on them. You know, because in this case, and again, I don't see the government for challenge this. They can if they want, but who say you begin to internationalize for begin challenge this with immigration and department, the State Department. You're not able. The one that DeSantis in America. The man he defend lawyer the man a lawyer he defend lawyer what is this guy's name? One of the Trump lawyers Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah. All right.
Man a lawyer. So I mean certain cases they follow now distraction this the government there will make president bill this let man no Allah and stop man with the Allah will go talk say for drive man there for expel there that's not the worst. And me I don't want to see EU and London other countries there for with. It will be difficult for ordinary salon people. Sincerely, this is not about government or opposition. It's about everybody who will suffer.
So before we move further to the other people, let's just read some of the comments. A few comments we'll get here. This one from Solomon is saying, my brother, because we can't fight the American government or people in the administration, so even when they are doing, we should keep quiet. Why is our sovereignty? I'm disappointed in you for the particular statement. All right. This one from Molai Warboy is saying, why the government choose to go down this route when the government can just ask the ECSL to reduce the disaggregated results of the election, but one may ask what the government and ECL is hiding from us. Ahmed is saying, we have to decolonize our mind. The mindset of some of you is still enslaved. That are some of the views that we'll get from the viewers on our Facebook page. So we'll not just move over to the awareness time display. Say His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio directs a fresh constitutional review. That 2 years after H.E.J.S. Momo's 1991 constitution, I read an excerpt say that 2 years after the late former president of Sierra Leone, Dr. Joseph Saidu Momo, preferred the advent of a multi-party democracy for Sierra Leone in September 1991. The current president, His Excellency Julius Maada Bio, has directed for a review of the J.S. Momo 1991 constitution, whilst he reiterating his commitment to the constitutional review process, which has been restarted on Thursday, 31st August 2023. On the same date, HEBO met the Association of Sierra Leone. Okay. 32 years after the 1991 constitution, we still, I think 5 or more years ago, we began a review process, the Justin Kawa review process. And yet again, recommendations that we make presented to the former president, and it's by Kroma. And a whole number of their recommendations, and they not be accepted. And this government, when they be in opposition, they promise say when they can go review some of their recommendations and then see how far they don't go. Now the president they call for another review again. How committed are we to this constitutional review process? Because we don't allow for a very long time say we 1991 constitution seriously challenge. We need for review, but we don't spend over years. They call for this review process and will not be materialized. Actually, let's start first with Alaji.
Thank you very much. I think this matter, you don't say we don't overdue. We'll try to address the issue of this constitution, you understand, because most of the problem with the affect we now, and as a result of this, we constitution because not try for review them, you understand. Successive government we don't try, but maybe for complete time. And I've say the previous government led by former president, Dr. Anes Baikoma, been in a very good position for make sure that we reform that because the United Nations we put a lot of money, but we lost our focus. Instead of let them focus on that constitutional review, you understand, they refuse. And so all the problem with the encounter now, where people they talk about the judiciary, talk about the electioneering process, all lost the way for review, because certain things that we want for doing, and go tell you, according to the Constitution, 1991 Constitution, Naingui, and the mandate for us say A, B, and C. So some of them provision there also, for don't look inside them and try for change them, we go for suit we, you understand. And mind you, for no serious situation they change, you understand. Even in the United States, we don't get their own constitutions, we don't live for over 200 years. But at times they can review them, we for suit the current situation, you understand. And unless we try for address the issue, if not, we'll still getting challenges then the day. So me want for appeal to this government, you understand, let them look into this special committee and then find a time frame, not just almost set the committee and just left and loose, so you understand. Yeah. Therefore set up a committee and then work to that time day within social period, at least inside 1 year or less than 1 year, you understand. Then for submit the reports and they act upon that. So that will look very beneficial, because if we not try for address the issue the day, up till now they get a problem the day. Anything will happen 32 years, a lot of things that we don't pass. We know they meet the present situation. You go see reports we have for talk concern about the election process, and we say the constitution not allow you for A, B, and C, you understand. But look at the present situation. People want to see the fact, you understand. We vote, they want to see them vote. Why, for pull out the people and get for see? Look on certain appointments them. All this and get for review, whether if only now the president for just take that upon himself for appoint so people them. So all in an issue for look for allow democracy forge ahead. Law try for review the 1991 Constitution, we know the Bible or the Quran, for move this country forward, so that anything you want for them, they will make reference to.
Okay, bring it inside, Melvin. Considering all waiting on the take place at the country, the current challenge you find yourself as a country, how urgent this review process be for we as a country?
Well, for now, I think this we can talk, but sometimes people can feel say no more, okay, just want to be negative or not like Salo. We not Salo like we not get no other passports, pass Salon passports. This is not a right move at the wrong time. Right move because we all labor behind this thing say for happy. The wrong time because now the time where the opposition they abstain from governance. Assuming now, in fact, we don't know. I mean, do we know who is the new chairperson? What's the new composition? The government is there to restart. Either they restart looking at the new mandates. Why restart? Why not picking up from outside the last Pakawan then left and take them from there? We already know say governments already we don't make imposition clear in the white paper as to what they don't accept and what they don't reject. So what is new? For me, as a political and general thinker, I will begin feel a bit weary. Why now? Why now we will not settle the big elephant when a political stalemate you anchor with constitutional review? Not to another census kind of debate you anchor open, not to another kind of standoff of fet. In fact, the opposition and that possible self follow will review the constitution with the current stalemate, because you not get the 2/3 of 99 votes in parliament for sanction that legislation where in fact you ever send go for a referendum. Is it the right time? No. Don't we need it? We need it, but not to now. Not so now, because we get important issue now. Visa ban we talk about so now. No one can so for me, waiting at the newness, waiting at the urgency, I want to foresee. Because if not, I'm afraid no can go to a review, say waiting power wants or waiting establishment wants, then they go fix it this time. Because we already don't get leakage as to waiting government they take. They say they don't need the House of Chiefs. They say they don't need for separate office of the General Ministry of Justice. All that we don't see all that in there. So waiting new now. Why not picking up? Who is the new chairperson? Who are the members? What's the timeline like that? How much resources don't be allocated for that? Because then there can be another lip service. But again, the good thing is the government they keep up to a manifesto promise. That's the good thing. Political accountability is being upheld, because we look there's a manifesto. Now one of the major emphatic promise this that then we get for then the camp for Kandua. So the one for Dua, which is good because you get so many things that the constitution for change. But for me, it doesn't make any sense if we go change the constitution, the major issues they will contend with, they not change. Right. All right. So for me, I think we need them, but let's settle the palaver first, this political palaver. Then we can go now. We say all man on there on board. Say, we will give you the constitution.
Abraham, look at the sincerity aspect, because not today we don't get.
Very good question.
Government in the council say, "Oh, I'll review the constitution, I'll review the constitution." But look at the sincerity. How sincere present and past governments don't be to this process?
Well, I can rather say the outcome of this exercise, they show the sincerity.
Of course.
Finish. The outcome of the process, they show the sincerity. I take it from Musani colleagues' start. That you don't get a process where already been terminated. Why not take it from that point? It's not new. There are people in governance. I see the minister of sport, the current minister of sport. I see his signature. She was a member. You got Boko people who are a member. Joby, they all have been members then. You understand? But I'll tell you something. No president not in a salon will ever want a constitutional change. A constitutional review based on the power where the constitution, 1991 constitution, give to the president. A friend of mine, one of the finest lawyers in the country, he told me, say, the 1991 constitution is a very fine document, but it ought to have been better. We don't tell you, say, it don't outlive in usefulness. You understand? It don't outlive in usefulness. Like all this, I can always tell people, if you take 2 months, Monrovia, if you take 2 months, you don't buy new clothes, you got to ask yourself whether you progress. If you take 3 months, you don't buy new shoes, you ask yourself whether you progress. We get a constitution. Is this standing the test of time? It is not. You understand? Both the APC then and the SLPP now, they don't abrogate the constitution. So changing it. These are stipulated clauses there where you need to follow. Are they doing what is required of them as a government then and now? The question is a big no. Where commander do many arrest me? But the question here is, we are not doing help. I don't feel so one left a good legacy for generation yet unborn. Because this constitution, now it foments the entire crisis in this particular country. This particular 1991 constitution, you understand, is no longer a blessing to the people of this country. You understand? Look at the constitution. Why you feel say like the AG? Who do they appoint the AG? That's the president. I get a lawyer when they tell me say the appointment of an IG police officer for being a call to application. The appointment, if for me a call to application, independent policing. Same the president, you are the commander-in-chief for the army is reserved. Yes, even in America, Biden is the chief commander-in-chief officer. You understand? All of those things. But all other things, there are specific appointments. The man, president also be over to him. Now a call to application, many letter of the law being followed, the express provision in that particular constitution. But when you come in a breakout with impunity, people in the see you say no, because I'm the government of the day, you feel me man, it's just a waste of resources. Waste of resources for start all over. You understand? There are rumors. There are rumors that they want an extension of 7 years. We don't know whether they are moving, whether this current administration, political is moving towards that. For giving itself a term limit of 7 years, whether it will benefit the sitting president. Is that the aim? Now make a you say I started off the sincerity of the question will be determined by the outcome of the entire process. Otherwise, I don't see the viability of what they intend doing.
For be very careful, like what me about them talk. I mean, we don't see how people then use constitutional review for coming to things called democratic coups. That's the new trend, the new phenomenon, where people then because of they get power, then they amend constitution. Any constitutional review now salon now, we not look at that issue of supreme executive power. For me, it's gonna be a waste of time. And the government not making position clear to me. So for me, they are not settle the palaver first. Because a constitutional review at this time is gonna be spinned. Yeah, really the conspiracy theories are already attached to it. And you never know, and the political situation is not congenial for a constitutional review. Pass the person I want to talk to.
You don't get the two-third majority.
You know the political legitimacy. This government not get political legitimacy. Let's talk, everybody know. They get legal legitimacy, but they not get political legitimacy. For us, the other side not go join them in government. Yes, until people then always go cry foul in elections. But this one is serious like no other time. So for the Yuanka with constitutional review, it's a diversion, it's a distraction, and it shows that the government not really this peace and negotiation when we talk about. Right. So because this is not digital.
We will look forward to let's see how the process goes. Wait to go be the outcome of the process. Let's just move over to the Our newspaper say over 300 acres of land allegedly encroached upon at Takuma Chimpanzee Sanctuary. The director of Takuma Chimpanzee Sanctuary, Bala, has revealed that a significant portion of land, estimated to be between 300 to 400 acres belonging to the sanctuary, has allegedly been encroached upon by individuals speaking during a media tour. We just mentioned just now from the accolade, the commendation from the UN Secretary General over climate action, and we see Takogama Sanctuary, a reserve place, and not only for the chimps, but also the dam wall gets up there. It also help for protect, but now we don't see the massive encroachment where don't they take place at that part of the country, that part of the city. And according, because I've been part of this trip, obviously, according to the director of the chimp, he worried within the next 1, 2 to 3 years, waiting will become of that sanctuary day, because the encroachment massive. And when you look at the encroachers, the people that they go there for encroach and build house, then they not so pambody house in the building. See, people don't put large amount of fence and they put on massive structure then they. So it means saying that people in authority, they continue for engage in their activities there. So how serious are we as a country, despite the accolade we get from the UN Secretary General to climate action? Because now all then things that they lead to then climate then things that they experience our country. Few years back, we see the effects of the mudslide, and the very day when that mudslide happened at Motome, you also get similar activity happen also at that sanctuary day. They also experience similar activity.
It go unnoticed.
Yeah. So how serious are we to climate action as a country? Very soon, President will lead a delegation to the UN summit on the Sustainable Development Goals. And I just be part of a conference also with the Ministry of Planning. All over the world, we don't make slow progress in achieving. We only get about 6 years to 2030. The target, the year when the targeted year. Now only 12%. Globally, now 12% to be able to achieve from implementing Sustainable Development Goals. So let's start to tell RG, how committed are we as a country in terms of climate action? It's the kind of actions they are.
You see, first of all, people have to understand the hazards we climate change they get. And I'm sure if the people in the watch around the world, you understand, we then they watch satellite and the international media, let them see the outcome of climate change, where they affect other countries in terms of disasters. Then you understand, we people don't suffer. We self as Salon people them for be very, very active about the human activities that they do in a certain area where they find themselves. We would affect we environment, and at the end of the day, this get for fight back. Now they get a massive destruction we can take place, right? Now, looking at that issue, it's very important, and it not been for the persistent way government don't do. If not so for that chimpanzee will try for talk to them for the overrun themselves, in fact. But the chimpanzee they want even at the other side of the area. If you watch now too, we watch the road so then we don't put the ban now. Then they allow nobody for make any building there. Now the other side, that's why if they drive along, they go sometimes they go to a junction, you could see says they are preserve. That's a result of then challenges there. So we the chimpanzee manager always can raise because of if you not so for that, then they go esteem. You know, we for see them back, you know, we forget them. That is why. But yes, still people they want for they make the attempt. But if you don't pass a law now for says on no account, then go be another part of the land. If not the other side now, the left hand, that is why they see rapid building they go. You understand? But all of the chimpanzee can also feel happy. You understand? Because all of it be a preserved area. It's unfortunate, you see.
So as for the threat for the Black Bring Kaiser Melvin, look at the sanctuary, not so a private property, now government property, but yet they will see the massive encroachment. How committed government will be to climate action?
Government property is the easiest property for thief, because you get people that will complicit or where they connive with people and give them documents and say take care. and like waiting somebody say, then the host there is here and BBB goes there. So the fact remains, if we not get political willingness, not forget the issue of glucose and political issues I don't know, and government can free it. But I think if we want for be serious about protecting the environment, we need to take the radical actions then they. And you say the Takugama na government-run institution, with so I think they get some international backing. It's like government get it line. So there's we don't know
according to the director, say now government not to employ every party. They,
so is it subvented by government?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, if not government property, then they first of all now sell for like government make money come off. So the Ministry of Tourism for and other players, the Ministry of Lands, they make sure they protect it and make it more attractive. You know, the more you make it attractive, people want for go. Then sites, people want for sedenting and they. That place is another reserve number for Whitman there. And then say another one for encourage and then for bring there, they for do more communication publicity. The people then they go and go see. Then the more people then get interested, the more value attached to them, and the more the need for the people to not go grab and go less. So we only for be concerted. Governments only need political willingness, you know, for them to go pull you there. But the communities they also need for helping people, and they, because at the end of the day, if we don't declare the sheep as the national animal, then we need to protect the habitats and the environment.
Okay, short one, Abdulrahman, focus to another important story we go for quick focus.
Law asks a question: which will achieve from domestic tourism? We begin somebody at the end of affairs, instead of our concentration and energy in building domestic tourism, it came for fly all over the world. What it give me? Nothing. You understand? Remember to Pratt. What it do? Nothing. No legacy. You understand? Secondly, no, it can. Secondly, I'm equally worried.
Yeah.
Just like what you mentioned in that write-up, for the landfill of the Guma Valley, what are coming?
Yeah.
The brother is struggle. Mother Penge is struggle. Forget enforceable policies. You don't go to my 13? You don't see how they encroach a dam? There was a point His Excellency the President made a visit there. When it commodity, in fact, the intrigger the encroachment more. All I want then, as a result of the past activity of the then Minister of Lands, Country Planning, when I Dr. Dennis Sandi. You understand? I still get that clip with me in the archives. When he go to a copy minister, they tell us, well, Dennis super smack. All of those things with that. If you say that Takugama that exhausts now that's settlement in the defense. So, and these are well-placed people in society.
Of course.
Politically exposed, financially exposed. We don't get enforceable policies. Lip service. We will just talk this. By the time they member to by certain December they come, you don't see that place widely encroach. You understand? So equally like that Takugama, but my interest much more is at the landfill at Guma, my 13. If we don't take them, you see what is happening in Florida a couple of days ago. The hurricane Ilada. You understand? You see what happened? Thank God. The man, we talk of being a climate resilient country. President I left yesterday, so you don't go to Nairobi. You understand? We wonder what it will be in a young place for what tell the people, the global world, waiting at some of the measures that we don't put for mitigate the climate threats in this country. We brought the measure about afforestation, deforestation, all deforestation, you name the terminologies. We are not doing well in all of these. I just say we are in a deep crisis.
Right. Shortly, this another very important story. Neglect over 15 workers, health workers suspended. And not only Kiama, but also PCMH. A pregnant woman where the suspect say they be mentally unstable. Within her states they bleed. Then take them out and the Kiama government hospital they refuse and they go to PCMH they refuse and they therefore turn with the woman say at the end of the day lost in life. So the Deputy Minister of Health, because they and currently say about 15 health workers then don't suspend them and they investigate them. So see how we health sector them, how we react to we as individuals.
It's just say if government want for work, then they work for we. Because you see they institute action for alleged neglect. So imagine that action they cascaded to all institutions where they not deliver on service, then they mount an investigation. So for me, I think that's the best way to go. People for take responsibility for their actions, following the due process of the law. And I think that's the message that the Ministry of Health is sending. That is a welcoming news. Unfortunately, it's a negative news, but for me, the good thing there is somebody they use power positively for better the lives of ordinary people. That hospital is very infamous for that kind of thing, and other hospitals and too. But the big picture is, in as much as I would say thank you to that minister there for instituting action, but it shows one thing. It shows that people in poor. People in poor. Now poverty the money they make possible and go on the streets. Now poverty they make when you go. In fact, the hospital where you go, if you don't get money for you, die. So we need more of that kind of action than Madam Minister or Mr. Minister. But the bottom line remains: the president will don't promise we a diagnostic center. We not see it. And we know some people are still live and then they collect them money. Then they wait till that building day. We don't know. But we need the last way we can. We talk people and say for gladly for celebrate the government for massive. Me, I will say, I will tell government thank you for massive because they not get no nuts in the no and they not get there. And I will talk continue for.
All right, short one, Alaji, before I can talk.
Short one, before I go, I want just for differ for what my colleagues say, Abdurrahman Kamara, where he talks say the Minister of Tourism not do nothing in that particular ministry.
You understand that? You want to take
on the fact that because no, yes, I agree. I don't go to see that you understand it make an impact to that particular ministry because prior before that you understand now we just stop. They ever do nothing. You understand? But for now you understand. We don't see the improvement. You understand? We don't. Nevertheless, now on the current situation, you understand? On this issue, you understand? On this particular issue, we talk about. First of all, we go for commend the deputy minister. If they go on your own private side. Then he see this situation, he decide for follow-up, you understand? He left all side, he say, okay, let's try for follow-up and see how best this woman they for recover her life. It shows you understand that the type of leadership that they want and that the type of people in this way want to move this country forward. And secondly, people in back with the work now government side also can accuse politicians them. But if they don't put in this office and also they work, you don't see somebody they can't, you understand? And this try for stabilize the situation. Then if you want to reform, but say no space not there, or maybe for situation, they see life they go. And they say una as nurses, you understand, or medical officer, the first point of call we person sick now for try for stabilize the situation. Right. Next reform. Thank you.
All right, shortly, Abdurrahman.
Okay, quickly, I believe so. Just like my colleagues say, when you do well, you don't get any reason for get worried. Let it maintain you. If Memuna Tupac do well, she would have been there. But the question is, ethical discharge that led to the death of a pregnant woman and unborn baby at the highest level of witchcraft. Highest level of witchcraft.
Yeah, we'll get that.
That decision taken by the minister, you understand? I hope that it will replicate them in other government hospital. Okay. Now just that visit where it's seen today. Those things are happening on notice. Wow. They are there. There are instances where people in the sea have never been there. That PCMH hospital is saying picking the loss. You understand? Picking the thief picking them. Could you put enforceable measures for ensure say you mitigate some of them things a day? Kudos to the minister. I hope it will continue. So until when the chief minister don't begin a visit, you building and other people other side them on notice. Everybody seems to be working now.
Yeah. All right. Other ministers in Falamakata that kind of footstep, they will get effective service delivery.
Well, so this is thank you very much. Well, Famula, so we will.
AYV is your home of credible.
Me still gets them plenty. Thank you, Abdurrahman Kamara from Star TV, Melvin Tijan Mansay, also a journalist, and also Alaji for joining at the studio for discuss on some of the headlines then at the various newspapers there. And also, remember say you don't watch front page when you come to in AYV television channel 3 and also radio 101.7 FM and also via we mobile app and also Facebook page on AYV News. And for tell me producer and thank you Edima and also Mamelamin Banya we put together this show together. And also the technical team will also contribute for make this show be a success. May we can the show to you today. My name is Roland Chumovia. So till we meet again. Plenty thank you and tata.